It's been 15 years since Peter Schweizer released his best-selling book, Do As I Say, Not As I Do, exposing the glorious hypocrisy of leftist politicians such as Bill and Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Ted Kennedy, Al Franken, and Ralph Nader, and shining a light on Michael Moore, George Soros, Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and Barbra Streisand. But despite the passage of time, not only have most of those leftists never shown any hint of regret, growth, or change, other leftists have joined them in the endless two-faced parade. Case in point, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock, a Democrat who tweeted that folks should stay home for Thanksgiving just before he hopped on a plane to get to Mississippi. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. Yep, it's the classic hypocrisy show that lets us see a bigger picture. As Christian Britsky reports for Reason, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock recently tweeted his grand insight telling people to limit their holiday travel and gatherings shortly before he boarded a plane to head to Mississippi to enjoy Thanksgiving with his wife and daughter. Witness Denver Mayor Michael Hancock, who urged residents of his city to stay home and not travel during Thanksgiving shortly before boarding a flight to visit family for the holidays. Yup, Hancock insulted the memory of Rebel John Hancock by putting his own name to this in-your-face, emoji-packed drivel. Pass the potatoes, not coming. Stay home as much as you can, especially if you're sick. Host virtual gatherings instead of in-person dinners. Avoid travel if you can. Order your holiday meal from a local eatery. Shop online with a small business for hashtag Black Friday, hashtag tyranny, hashtag I don't give a crap about your rights. And that's only part of what upset more than a few observers. In fact, this two-faced display came shortly after his government flexed its unconstitutional muscle, threatening people with a newly updated set of restrictions on their liberty. Writes Britsky, on Friday, Denver public health authorities, at the behest of Colorado state government, issued additional pandemic restrictions that include the shuttering of indoor dining at restaurants, a 10% capacity cap at gyms, and a 25% capacity cap at houses of worship. Because, you know, as Thanksgiving approached, there probably were few things better than this to remind people of the importance of private property, which is the lesson Governor Bradford explained was the impetus for their large Thanksgiving celebration. And since Hancock swore an oath to uphold and operate by the U.S. Constitution and the Colorado Constitution, it's doubly nice that he should break both of them while insulting the intelligence of the proles at the same time. What a guy. And he's not alone. Thanks to Britsky and to Reason's J.D. Tusil, we can thank more than a few hypocrites in the political world for offering us examples of how not to treat others. For example, Britsky observes, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser traveled to Delaware to attend a celebration of President-elect wink, wink, Joe Biden's election victory, despite issuing health orders requiring D.C. residents to travel only for essential business and to quarantine for 14 days when returning from high-risk states, which would include Delaware. And he adds, Bowser has defended her Delaware trip by arguing that it involved government business and therefore counted as essential travel. And Britsky also notes another of our favorite two-faced looks, the style and stylations of California Governor Gavin Newsom. Perhaps the worst COVID-19 hypocrite is California Governor Gavin Newsom, who attended a birthday party at a swanky Napa Valley restaurant in violation of his own COVID-19 limits on gatherings. Rising case numbers in California are prompting the closure of indoor dining in most of the state under the four-tiered reopening schedule crafted by Newsom and state public health officials. Then there's New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, brother of so-called newsman and towering hypocrite Chris Cuomo. Andrew, whose overbearing condescension seems to be only exceeded, perhaps, by his tendency to act like a Macy's parade balloon called Hypocrite the Kid. His was the flourishing bounty of news reports telling us how he didn't want others to travel or have big Thanksgiving gatherings, while he prepped plans to have his elderly mom and 2 daughters brought to Albany to dine with him at the estate. That is very classy. Then, of course, there's Dr. Neal Ferguson, the infamous creator of the astoundingly inflated COVID-19 infection and death model that was adopted by boorish characters in the UK and US government, including people like Dr. Anthony Fauci. As Ducille notes, Ferguson, the epidemiologist behind Britain's lockdown policy, met with his married girlfriend in defiance of the restrictions he promoted. Eager to threaten the common people with penalties if they failed to socially distance, he saw no reason to inconvenience himself the same way, although at least he conceded that propriety required him to resign his government post when the trysts were discovered in May. Oh, and who can forget Fauci's turn, at first claiming that masks were worthless to stop COVID-19, which is correct, when later he said it was necessary to say that, but then he said it was done to stop people from getting masks that he thought were needed for health workers. In other words, he wasn't telling the truth. Then his turn claiming masks were important. Then his turn sitting in the stands at a baseball stadium having a grand time without his mask. As Ducille notes, Fauci is not alone in his explosive hypocrisy. That attitude is obvious in Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, whose wife and daughter visited properties in Florida and Wisconsin, even as he ordered state residents to stay at home except for, quote, essential, end quote, activities. Quote, my official duties have nothing to do with my family, end quote, Pritzker huffed when a reporter called him out about his family's wanderings. Quote, so I'm not going to answer that question. It's inappropriate, and I find it reprehensible, end quote. Moralistic outrage when called out for one's own lack of morality. And then there's Mark Mallory, super classy husband of mega classy Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. In the lead up to Memorial Day weekend, after his wife eased some of the travel restrictions she had imposed on state residents, Mallory invoked his political connections in a failed attempt to get his boat in the water ahead of everybody else. Quote, he jokingly asked if being married to me might move him up, Whitmer conceded after the offended marina owner described the incident, which he found less than humorous, on social media. He regrets it, she added. I wish it wouldn't have happened, end quote. She did not clarify whether it was the power play or the marina owner's public complaint. Meanwhile, Whitmer's edicts have seen cops sent to arrest innocent business people simply for trying to run their businesses and accept voluntary patronage. And Ducille offers more. For Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney, the it moment was a hearty meal at a Maryland restaurant, while indoor dining in his own city remained forbidden by his order. Quote, I know some are upset that I dined indoors at a restaurant in Maryland yesterday, end quote. Kenney sniffed on Twitter in August. Quote, I felt the risk was low because the county I visited has had fewer than 800 COVID-19 cases compared to over 33,000 cases in Philadelphia. Regardless, I understand the frustration. I understand your frustration. It's not my problem. It's yours. Then there's Her Highness Nancy Pelosi, who was caught on video in September breaking state and San Francisco mandates forbidding just her kind of maskless visit to a hairstylist. And there's hardcore lefty Rachel Levine, the Pennsylvania Health Secretary for obnoxious Governor Tom Wolf, who shortly after issuing an edict to move COVID-19 infected patients into nursing homes had her 95-year-old mom removed from one. Rules for thee, but not for me. seems to be the only poetry that these people know. And on the subject of Pennsylvania, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention leftist state representative Wendy Ullman, who got caught on camera joking with the aforementioned Wolf about how she would don a mask while on camera for a little political theater.
I'm going to take my mask off on speech.
I will as well. I'm waiting so that we can do a little political theater.
Okay.
So that it's on camera.
Do you consider the absolute destruction of rights and livelihoods political theater? Do you consider it to be far past the time that people who understand rights and private property stand, educate friends and family, and push back at people like them and their new pal, Mayor Hancock in Denver? If so, thank you. The human race relies on people like you to fight the people like them. Thank you for watching too, everyone. Remember, please, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed if you subscribed before. Just double check. Sometimes people get dropped off. Please share these with friends everywhere you can. Sometimes sending the links through email is a real positive as well. Go on to social media, and there are a lot of new great social media avenues opening up as well. If you want to find us, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Visit MRCTV.org, of course, because there's always something new at the main website. And if you want some great items, go to MRC-Store for Media Research Center items. I'm on Gab, and I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook. On Gab, you can find me at Gardner Goldsmith. On Twitter, you can find me at Gard Goldsmith, and over at Facebook, it's Gardner Goldsmith or something like that. Whatever. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Remember, keep fighting for freedom. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.